came in tonight very focused. The key for me to my success right now is to be patient. I felt I had Jim hurt. He's very tough. For me to hurt a guy like Jim, I didn't want to overdo it and just fatigue my arms. So I tried to back off and reset and go back in again. I'm still having trouble figuring out how he caught my back, but you know, I don't regret changing camps. You know, I've been working on my back escapes, and it's crazy, but I knew exactly what to do to get him off my back. But when he grabbed me, he had it tight. At that point, I couldn't do anything.
Melvin, right after the fight, a lot of people were saying on Twitter, like, man, if Melvin could just learn some jiu-jitsu, he'd be a great fighter. You told me before the fight you're training jiu-jitsu, you know, on a solo basis 4 times a week. I mean, what's the problem there with your jiu-jitsu? How come that continues to be a problem for you?
It wasn't a problem. I mean, you know, I did everything right. I knew exactly how to shake him off my back. I just happened to, when he jumped on my back, I was actually going to go down so I can pull his arm away from my throat. But when he reset and shook me, he collapsed my hip and I fell down. At that point, I had to try to roll over to the other side. I was sticking to the basics of what I learned, you know. And you know, a lot of people, you know, criticize my ground game, and I'm not going to sit here and think that I have the best ground game, because obviously I don't. I got lost fights on submissions, but you know, to lose to a guy like Jim, you know, I wasn't emotional about this loss, you know, like I was to the Lozon fight, because I really feel in my heart the Lozon fight was a fluke. You know, I had Jim hurt, and my thing was I wanted to be patient, and I backed off when I could have probably swarmed him. It could have been a different result, but I don't regret anything I did tonight. I think I went in and I executed my game. I fought one of the best guys in this division, and I think I sent the message to a lot of guys, you know. But I also understand that now everybody's going to want to take Melvin back, you know, because it's 2 fights in a row. 2 good guys took my back. So now I have to go home, back to Florida, and grind it out with the Blackzilians, man. I have, you know, Jay-Z Cavalcante, I have George Santiago. I have a lot of great jiu-jitsu partners now that I didn't have before. And give me about a year, man. Just be patient with me. I'll submit someone.
And it sounded like you were very, you know, putting a lot of praise.
Don't cut your hair until you do.
Hell no, I'm cutting this. My wife ain't gonna let that happen.
You give Jim a lot of praise, and you know, another question floating around after this fight is, where is Jim in the division, and how close is he?
You know what, bro? At the end of the day, and Frankie's not in this category because he's the champ. He's the #1. But at the end of the day, me and Jim Miller, and I quote this, you guys make sure y'all put it in there right, but me and Jim Miller are the best 2 guys in this division. Guys don't want to fight us. We're the 2 guys people run away from, and I know this because I've had other fights scheduled, and I can't say those guys' names, but people are not lining up to fight me and Jim, you know. You know, I don't even know where I stand right now as far as, you know, when my next fight will be, but I guarantee, you know, if Joe Silva called me tomorrow and said, hey, we got a fight for you, within a week, that name changes, you know. Guys aren't lining up to fight us, you know. I really admire Jim Miller, and this facing him was probably the most nervous I've been in a long time, you know. The nerves got the best of me a week ago, watching Anthony fight, when I was watching the Rumble fight, and I just started thinking about the Jim Miller fight, and I was losing sleep, and then I had to pull myself back and say, man, you know, I'm one of the best. I have over 100 fights already under my belt altogether, and I'm a seasoned veteran, you know. I just have to quit making those mistakes and beating myself. Nobody's going to beat me in this game.